guys, welcome back to another video. As promised, there is going to be more educational videos to come with this man, Omar Isuf.
That hurt. Yeah, you Mr. Miyagi'd my ass. Like.
Today, we are going to be doing a squat tutorial.
Yeah, I want to go over basically probably 3 essential tips or 3 mistakes that I commonly see when I look at individuals when they squat. And really, next to, I think the hip thrust when it comes to glute development is key. I think the squat should be a staple for every single female lifter, every single lifter honestly in general that cares about total body development, total leg development. A lot of love and attention is given to the glutes, which is very important. The squat certainly trains those. Hamstrings, it's okay at doing that. But the quads and the overall shape of your legs, it could heavily influence. And so you look kind of weird if all you do are hip thrusts, you build up the glutes and then you have no legs to support that. So when people kind of talk about that pear shape, I think they want or they desire greater quad development. So I want to show or I want to emphasize how to squat properly for the individual and the most common mistakes. We have a excellent person to demonstrate this because your squat has come a long way.
What do we say to all the people that are like, your squat is whack, it's dangerous? What do we say to them?
Honey, you just jealous.
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
Now, there is something we should talk about, and that is that Jazz, when she squats, what you'll tend to notice, and this isn't one of the tips we're gonna be talking about today, is that her knees sometimes will tend to cave in. And this problem is more commonly seen amongst female lifters. And it has to do partially with hip anatomy, it has to do with quad strength, it has to do with glute strength. And that isn't as big of a concern right now today. What I wanna talk about is how to optimize the squat for your own personal goals. And so the first thing I wanna talk about, the stripper squat. And so the stripper squat is when an individual squats all the way down, and then on the way up, their hips will tend to shoot up, right? So they'll shoot up excessively. And this is a problem once, what was that?
What?
Huh?
What?
This is a problem because essentially they're running away from the quad. So we wanna learn how to stack the joints, stack the body. And so what I want Jazz now to do to demonstrate is she's gonna get underneath the bar, she's gonna keep it relatively high because the low bar squat is a fantastic squat, but you need to do it right. And so what we'll tend to notice is that you want the bar essentially over the center of mass, right? So you don't want it too far forward when you squat down, lean too far forward when you squat down. So this position right here, refreeze for a second, because it's a little too far forward and the weight's kind of here, if I just put pressure down, she's already leaning and tipping forward, right? So when she squats up now, the hips are gonna shoot up, and then go ahead, yeah, just come up and do a few reps like that. You'll probably see a lot of people squatting like this. And so you're favoring what you already have, you're probably loading up the posterior chain, but you're also loading up the lower back. It's not good, that's not optimal. So what we wanna do instead is we wanna learn, and that's why what you're gonna see Jazz wearing right here, she actually has weightlifting shoes, position weightlifting shoes. But what they do, what a weightlifting shoe does, so put your feet flat, it gives an extra heel which allows the knee, now squat properly. Look at the knee travel, the knee's gonna travel past and along the line, good. The knees are gonna go in line now with the toes, and what's gonna tend to happen as she comes out of the hole, because she's in a better position, pause this one at the bottom. So if we look at stacking right here, this bar is in a lot stronger of a position, right? So right here, she can maximally recruit her quads, glutes, and keeping her core braced, she can learn to rise out of the hole. So good, rise and rack. Let's talk about bracing. So the first one, when we talk about cueing, you wanna make sure you're squatting, all other things being equal, and it depends on your morphology, so your body type. If we take a look at Jazz, she actually has pretty good mechanics in order to squat. Her torso's a little long. Her femurs are a little short. You're made for the Chinese weightlifting team. So when you squat down, right, so right here, and so the chest is up, what we'll tend to notice here is that when we have the barbell on the back, it's a strong, stable position, right? If it's too far forward, you're gonna tip forward. If it's too far back where people will tend to lean back, you're gonna lose the weight. And how do we determine that? We wanna learn about opening the hips, right? We wanna maximize recruitment. So let's assume now your traditional squat stance. And how wide should someone squat? Depends on the individual. There's a long answer to that question, but essentially what works for you, you'll find out over time. For most people, they wanna be from shoulder width, a little bit wider than shoulder width. In terms of feet angle, how out they want it, so turned out or turned in. I wouldn't recommend pointing them directly ahead for a few reasons. You need some pretty damn good mobility in order to do that. Give a 5 to 10 degree rotation with both of the legs. And then from here, what we're gonna notice when some people squat, what you're gonna notice when she squats now, with most people squat down, is the knees, pause good, are inside the toes, right? So when she comes up, what's gonna happen? One, that puts a lot of pressure on the knees. Two, just in terms of utilizing the glutes, we wanna make sure our hips are externally rotated. So what does that mean? What you should think about is right here. If our knees are pointed straight ahead, if I internally rotate them, so I'm going almost like I have knock knee, or I'm walking like my knees are gonna be like this, that's that sensation of the knees being turned in. You actually wanna rotate them out. So from here, the knee isn't actually moving, it's all in the hips. And I can't emphasize that for the squat, it really is all in the hips. The big movers are your glutes and your quads. Let's take a look at Jazz's knees right now. So the knees are just showing, and we look at the slogan right here of the slingshot. So go inside, rotate in, good. So what we're gonna do, it all starts in the hip. Your hips are rotating open. So if these are the two sockets, they're rotating like that. So the two cues I want everyone when they squat to think about when it comes to the hips would be, one, rotate the knees. Good. And then from here, we're applying a little pressure. Some people ask the question, where should I be applying the pressure on the squat? That's a good question. It's 3 points essentially. You want to think about the heel, of course. You want to think of the toe, and you want to think of this side here. So you want to be applying pressure first at the back, along the side, and then also your big toe down on the ground. So basically what you're doing is you're pressing down with the entirety of your foot. Not only that though, when you squat, the cue I'd give most people is to imagine you're almost separating the floor with your feet. We're gonna pop the hips, so pop the hips, rotate the hips. Good, so that's cue number 1. Cue number 2 would be imagining that you're from here, trying almost like you're parting water, so you're parting the damn ocean. You're pushing away. So what that's gonna do is when you squat down, so squat down, good, and hold that position. This is a great position right here. So knees are in line with the feet. And from here, in order to keep the glutes engaged, in order to keep the quads engaged, when Jazz squats up, what she's gonna focus on now is make sure the knees are open. And how does she do that? She's pressing out with the outside of her foot. So squat up. Good, give like 3 repetitions like that. Good. Right, so what's actually happening when we give that cue, good, and relax. So that's actually more glute involvement. When people want to know how to target different areas of the movement, just do it right. And what I mean when I say that is separating the floor is actually one of the functions of your glute. Separating the floor gets the glutes involved, and that means you're going to be stronger. The 2 cues I want you to think about is you want that strong, stable base, so we're popping the hips open once we have the bar on our back, and then from here, we're separating ever so slightly the floor as we squat down, and that's keeping the glutes once again engaged in the movement. We talked too about, and that'd be a separate video, but why weightlifting shoes would be useful. They absolutely can be. They assist with something called ankle dorsiflexion. And what that means is you want your knees to be able once again to go past the toes or to comfortably glide forward without your ankles being the mobility limiter, right? So right here, if you didn't have the shoes on, the knees would be a little further back, and that'd put more pressure on your lower back. Good, actually do that exact thing right there where you showed you have to create the space somehow. And so some people, it takes the form of a butt wink if they don't have sufficient ankle mobility, ankle dorsiflexion, and you don't want that. You do not want to be loading the spine like that. Good, squat up. One of the last things that I want to talk about, because they're honestly the squat is quite complicated. Don't be afraid when I say that, but it's a movement you have to continue to practice, but the more you invest in it, the more you're gonna get out of it. The last thing I want to talk about is core bracing. For a lot of people, they think, yeah, squats, just all lower body, and that's true, but learning to brace properly with your core leads to what's called torso rigidity. And so that means when you have the bar on your back, it creates a more strong, stable base. So right here, the weight is applying pressure like this on a Jazz's back, right? When she braces, and I'm gonna explain what that means, bracing. When she braces, to take a big breath, and then brace, and then squat down. It allows her more easily, good, and just give me 3 reps like that. It allows her more easily to transfer all the power from here through the torso into the barbell on her back. If there's a power leak, so that means you're not bracing, flop over when you squat up. So give me a rep. Let's say you're not bracing, the weight's heavier, so you're gonna just fold over, you squat up. Good, you'll tend to learn, or you'll tend to notice a form breakdown. Good, and just one more rep, one shitty rep. Good, and rack it. Let's show what bracing means though in terms of cueing. What Jazz is essentially doing, she's taking a huge diaphragmatic breath. So she's gonna breathe into her stomach right here, and put your hands actually as a cue for yourself. Yeah, put your hands on your stomach. You can take a big breath, filling up your belly, not your chest. Not, think big belly breath, almost like you're pregnant, don't worry about it, do it. Take a big belly breath, and also think to yourself that you want to fill in the entirety of it. So it's a 3D breath. So you're breathing in here and back here into your lower back into your side. So you take a big breath, and what you can even do is put your hands like this, put it like this, breathe in, expand, and after you do that, what I want you to think, and most people, this is one of the biggest mistakes, is they not only do a stripper squat, how they set up, they're too extended, right? And so proper bracing means you take a big breath, and then you lock it down almost like you think a mini crunch. You're not crunching down like this, but you're flexing your abs as if someone might give you a punch, right? So here, a big breath, and then you brace, and now this is solid, it's tight, glutes are engaged, so all your big movers are ready and you can squat. Let's show quickly what a crappy squat looks like when someone will overextend. So Jazz, I want you to puff the chest up and stick basically the ass out. And we're gonna show why that's problematic, why that's not ideal. So here, good. Let's really emphasize that. So basically here, before you squat, so let's set it up. So right here, we have the chest puffed up. So this, the back is too extended. You can't properly brace and breathe into here. Watch Jazz's glutes as she squats down. So go ahead and squat. You're gonna notice the butt wink. Good, good. Give me like 3 reps like that. When people ask about the butt wink, 1, it is a little bit your anatomy, but it's 2, how you squat. And why is a butt wink a problem? Not always, but it could be an indicator, once again, good, and stand back up. It could be an indicator, stay there, stay there. Oh, you're staying in that position. So stay overextended. This isn't a strong position. Now the pressure's on the lower back because the bar, once again, is applying pressure down here. This isn't braced, so this isn't supporting it at all. Well, what's the body gonna do? It's gonna rely on your lower back, and you're not gonna maximally engage your glutes. So what we wanna do instead, before we squat, the 2 things are 1, squeeze the glutes. Do that exact cue one more time. So this is overextended, good. When we squeeze the glutes, it creates a parallel line between the hips and the core. So the core is here, hips are here, and then finally shoulders are here. So we have 3 stacks, 1, 2, 3, each are parallel to one another. Glutes are squeezed. When she now braces and she does that slight crunch, so she's gonna take a big belly breath. This is now a strong, stable base to squat from. So now go ahead and squat and stand back up. Good, and do 2 more reps. You're like, I've done 30 reps. I'm ready to dive. All of these tips come together in order to form an effective squat. And so I notice, I'm not trying to call anyone out, but I notice honestly a lot of influencers
Just don't say names.
Yeah, don't know how to squat. And I'm not trying to insult them whatsoever, but they'll shallow squat, their knees won't track properly. In order to get maximal glute recruitment, and this is a very good question that you asked before, how low to squat? You want to squat as low as comfortable with proper form. So if we notice Jazz on the demonstrations, she's squatting below parallel every single time.
Yeah.
That might not be you when you start. It actually might feel funky where you're like, what the fuck? But you don't want to be like some of those influencers where they're really shortchanging themselves. It would be the equivalent of doing a bench press and only coming down like this.
Right.
And that has a time and place, once again. But if you're talking about growing your lower body and trying to grow muscles in the desired areas, that's not optimal whatsoever. Well, I'd say in short summary, so learn to open up your hips. So that means external rotation with the hips. 2, pretend and you're separating the floor. So that's gonna allow you to engage the glutes. Make sure we're not overextended with the chest. So we load the bar comfortably on the traps. And then from there, we're gonna brace. And actually it should look, when people say like, oh, your stomach's sticking out. Yeah, it should. A proper squat isn't sexy. So you're braced and then the glutes are squeezed, strong, stable base, and then you could squat, right? After that, you do a few repetitions. People are probably gonna ask, you know, about load and everything else. You should get a good program for that in order to periodize your squat training. You wanna make sure you're never approaching failure, but focus on good repetitions over quantity of repetitions. That's what I'd say. So in summary, those are just a few tips or a few common mistakes I see with the squat. The squat is kind of complex where we could talk a hell of a lot more, but that's all we got time for. That's all I gotta say, Jazz. You take it over.
All right, guys. Well, that is gonna be. All right, guys. That is gonna be it for this squatting video, squat tutorial, squat tips, whatever it is that I end up titling it, something snazzy. But I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. Obviously, Omar has a ton of information and knowledge. I'm actually, can I reference the video that we did?
Definitely.
He actually has a video on how to fix a broken squat. This is kind of like a similar follow-up video to that. But if you want to really see, you know, the transformation that my squat has taken and how your squat can transform, check out both of the videos. There's gonna be so much good knowledge in both of them.
Yeah.
And as usual, make sure to check out Omar on Instagram and on YouTube. I'll have his links in the description box below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe. Omar, you wanna close it off?
Yeah, I mean, I think we probably should just release some programs.
That sounds like a good idea.
Oh, wow, that wasn't pre-scripted at all.
No way.
I think there is an opportunity to teach people a wealth of knowledge and really help them out. So thanks for just having me back on the channel. Hopefully this helps you guys out, and that's all I got to say.
And maybe just be on the lookout.
Be on the lookout Something on the horizon?
Something might be coming in hot.
Jazz, stir that pot. Show people what's up.
Gonna stir it, mix it, gonna toss it up. Gotta catch it. I caught it and we're stirring.
I meant more the
This one?
the grandma move.
That's not stirring the pot.
Okay.
That's boogieing.
That boogie down.
He doesn't know. All right, guys, besitos. Cover the mic. Cover the camera.
Can you show your armpit hair?
No, God, no. Bye.
I do not wanna give you more of my life.